Okay, we'll call this meeting to order, please. Call the meeting to order. It's 7:02 already. Calling the meeting to order, please. Roll call by County Clerk.
We have 29 present and 1 absent.
Thank you. And we have 2 or 3 on Zoom tonight. 2 so far. Okay. All right, Pledge of Allegiance. Kirk, could you please lead us?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Let's take a moment. Thank you very much. Please be seated. We're in compliance with open meetings law, Mr. Administrator.
We are, sir.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda. So moved by Mr. Paulson, second by Mr. Backlund. Any additions, subtraction? Anybody see anything they need moved? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is adopted. Approval of minutes, Mr. Winnicky.
I would move approval of the minutes as submitted, dated February 14th, 2023.
And the second was by Mr. Paulson. Okay. Discussion. Anybody see any editorial changes? I always look at Mr. Brogler. No? Okay. Seeing none, I'll entertain a vote for approval of the minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Communications.
Okay, the first thing is on page 1, notice of public hearing, planning and zoning, March 16th at 7 p.m. On page 3 is a proposed board rule amendment for the election of county board chair and vice chairs. And then on your green sheet, you will find your treasurer's monthly report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there public comment on anything related to something on the agenda? Public comment to items on the agenda. Seeing none, we will move on to committee reports and resolutions. Finance Committee, Mr. Jones, you have the floor for quite a while now.
I see that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution number 2022.
72.
Thank you. Amending the Jefferson County Fund Balance Policy. The Finance Department periodically reviews policies and proposes changes where clarification on certain items is considered necessary. The Finance Department, along with the Finance Committee, has reviewed the fund balance policy and has determined that certain language clarifying the definition of working capital is necessary. This clarifying language seeks to omit items that distort trends in working capital reserves by excluding one-time expenditures such as large grants and capital purchases outside the capital project fund. This resolution also requires the county to reserve fund balance to fully fund its outstanding liability, auto and workers' compensation insurance claims, as determined by the most recent actuarial studies performed by an insurance vendor. The Finance Committee considered this resolution at its March 8, 2023 meeting and recommending forward to the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors for approval. Fiscal note. The adoption of this resolution will assist the Finance Committee in managing fund balance by excluding items that would distort trends in working capital and ensure the county has adequate reserves available to fund its outstanding insurance claims. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Been moved by Mr. Jones. I have second by Mr. Jekyll. Questions? Discussion? Seeing none, voice vote, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, Resolution 72 passes. Takes us to our next resolution. Resolution authorizing settlement agreements with Teva Pharmaceutical Industries and a whole number more. Mr. Jones.
Resolution number 2022-73. Between 1999 and 2013, the amount of opiates dispensed in the United States quadrupled, with nearly 207 million opiate prescriptions being written in 2013 and almost 259 million in 2014. Opiate sales were nearly 10 billion in 2015. According to 2015 data from the National Survey of Drug Use and Health, in 2013, over 1/3 of United States citizens had used prescription opiates, with a significant number of those resulting in addiction. The Wisconsin Counties Association has researched this issue and found that lawsuits filed in other states have alleged that certain pharmaceutical companies knew that profits would significantly increase if they were able to market and sell opiates for long-term use. In order to expand their market and achieve a dramatic increase in profits, some companies decided to create a marketing campaign designed to give the medical community and the public the false impression that opiates were safe for long-term use. This false marketing campaign is responsible for what is commonly referred to as the opiate epidemic. On October 10, 2017, the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors adopted resolution number 2017-39, which authorizes the county administrator to execute the necessary documents to proceed with lawsuits on behalf of Jefferson County. Lawsuits have been filed on behalf of 70 other Wisconsin counties, and all Wisconsin cases were coordinated with thousands of other lawsuits throughout the country. Pursuing claims against certain opiate manufacturers will hold those persons and entities that have significant role in the creation of the opiate epidemic responsible for the financial costs incurred by Jefferson County and other public agencies across the state and country in dealing with the opiate epidemic. On December 14, 2021, the County Board of Supervisors approved Resolution 2021-49 that provided approval for the first round of settlement agreements. The resolution authorized the Jefferson County Board Chair and the Jefferson County Administrator to enter into the following settlement agreements with Teva Pharmaceutical Industries, Algran Finance LLC, Walgreen Company, Walmart Incorporated, CVS Health Corporation, and CVS Pharmacy Incorporated. Enter into memorandum of understanding with the Wisconsin Attorney General for allocation of opiate settlement proceeds. And 3, execute an addendum to the original memorandum of understanding allocating settlement proceeds to incorporate the pending opiate settlements described in this resolution. The terms of the settlement require all parties to sign the settlement agreement and related documents no later than April 18, 2023. Fiscal note, Jefferson County allocation of this second settlement is an estimated $3,397,583, with a net amount after attorney fees of $2,548,187. This net amount may increase based on additional attorney fees being paid by the National Attorney Fee Fund. Final settlement amounts will be determined by the number of parties that opt in to the settlement agreement. This settlement will be paid out as follows: Algran 6 years, Teva 13 years, Walgreens 15 years, CVS 10 years, and Walmart 5 years. An updated assessment will be conducted by Jefferson County staff and stakeholders to determine the best use of these funds for the 2024 fiscal year, guided by allowed uses under Exhibit E, made available to Jefferson County through the County Clerk's Office and County Administrator's Office. The first round of settlement dollars have assisted with the crisis response position focused on opiate response and assistance in the drug treatment court. Updated recommended uses and a corresponding budget recommended for 2024 and beyond, with funds being directed towards the highest and most impactful needs of Jefferson County. Funds will be deposited into a segregated project coded for accountability. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Jekyll, I believe. Questions? Discussion? We had a significant update on this last week or last month, so seeing none, voice vote, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. The resolution passes. Item C, under Finance Committee, resolution authorizing budget amendment to offset fiscal year 2022 department deficits. Mr. Jones.
Resolution number 2022-74. The county administrator requests budget amendments to offset department deficit. This resolution will authorize increasing appropriation and corresponding revenue in the fiscal year 2022 as follows. As you can see, they're listed there. The Finance Committee considered this resolution at its March 8, 2023 meeting and recommended for the County Board for approval. Fiscal note, Health Department. COVID cases and related expenditures were higher than anticipated during 2022. The Health Department received grant funding to offset the increase in cost. Highway Department. Due to cooperative weather and low asphalt costs, the Highway Department was able to do some additional work that was not anticipated during the 2022 budget process, and also was required to adjust their equipment rates mid-year during 2022, resulting in higher costs than anticipated. As a budget amendment, this resolution requires 20 out of 30 affirmative votes from the total membership of the County Board for passage. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Jekyll. Discussion, questions? Mr. Morris.
Yes, they are. I'll let the accountant answer that one, sir. Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we need a 2/3 vote. On your tablet.
Supervisor Jones,
Yes?
Supervisor Richardson.
Yes.
Okay, we have 29 yes. I'm sorry. We have 28 yes, 1 no, and 1 absent.
The resolution passes. Item D, resolution authorizing year-end requests to carry over budget appropriations from fiscal year 2022 to fiscal year 2023 and amending the 2023 budget. Mr. Jones.
Resolution number 2022-75. At year-end, departments are required to submit carryover requests for funds that are unspent. If the county administrator approves the request, it is reviewed by the Finance Committee and, if required, approved by the County Board. There's a total of $42,630,698.86 proposed to be carried over from fiscal year 2022 to fiscal year 2023, and of this amount, $16,476,737.89 requires County Board approval. The Finance Committee recommends that funds of $16,476,737.89 be carried over from fiscal year 2022 to fiscal year 2023. The Finance Committee also recommends the following 2023 budget amendments for staffing changes and grant acceptance. I'm going to stop here, and Mr. Waymeyer is prepared to answer any questions of those listed below if there are any at this time.
Let's get the motion on the floor first, and then we have our discussion.
Okay. With these budget amendments, the following actions are also authorized. 1, increasing the current part-time public health nurse position to full-time. And 2, transferring ARPA funds from a general housing and business development fund to a revolving loan fund program specifically designated for housing development in Jefferson County, with loan protocols, terms, and conditions subject to review and approval by the Finance Committee. Further, the Finance Committee recommend amending the fiscal year 2023 budget by allocating net available fund balance and working capital to cover the following project and plans appropriations. Fiscal note. As a budget amendment, this resolution requires 20 out of 30 affirmative votes from the total membership of the County Board for passage. Explanation of governmental funds. Non-spendable funds are funds that include prepaid item deposits and inventory accounts. Spendable restricted funds are funds that are legally restricted by statute, contracts, or funding source. Spendable committed funds are funds that are spendable at the discretion of the county. Explanation of proprietary funds, highway, for example, capital net position represents items that are depreciated along with land which is not depreciated. Restricted net position relates to municipal deposits for subsequent year work by the county. Non-restricted net position includes both required items and discretionary items. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Jekyll. Questions, discussion? Mr. Brogler.
I have a question on page 28, the second table. Could someone explain the very last entry on the loan from working capital, please?
Mark, you want to walk that through, please?
Mark, if you, there's a mic right here, Mark.
The loan from working capital.
So our fund balance policy application requires us to keep 3 months' worth of total county expenditures as working capital. That's the suggestion. It requires 2 months. It's suggested to have 3. So at the discretion of the Finance Committee, because of some outstanding projects that we have, the Finance Committee is requesting to loan the county money from that third month of working capital to cover some of these projects.
Okay, thank you.
Each month is about $7 million. So, in total.
Other questions? Mr. Morris.
So we have a part-time public health nurse going to a full-time. How many full-time nurses will that give us?
I believe Elizabeth is online. They could quickly answer that faster than I can.
Elizabeth?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute that one. Of 5 nurses, 1 health program manager, myself, who is a nurse.
Okay, this would be it, make it a total of 5. Right now we have 4 full-time in addition to Elizabeth and the deputy, and then this would make it a 5th.
Okay.
Thank you. Other questions? Other questions? Seeing none, this requires a 2/3 vote because it's a budget amendment. Please use your tablets.
Supervisor Jones,
Yes.
Supervisor Richardson,
Yes.
we have 28 yes, 1 no, and 1 absent.
The resolution passes. Item 10, Human Services Board, resolution amending the 2023 Human Services budget to become the fiscal agent for a youth crisis stabilization facility and entering into contracts to operate the facility. Mr. Jones.
Resolution number 2020-2276. Jefferson County is working collaboratively with stakeholders and partners to provide programs to serve the public. One key partner is the Greater Watertown Health Foundation. In 2022, the Greater Watertown Health Foundation purchased the former Bethesda grounds in Watertown to develop a site to serve the greater region for a variety of needs. The point of this property included camp mats, with one building specifically identified that could be used as a youth crisis stabilization facility. Because there are limited facilities which can provide this service in Wisconsin, the Jefferson County Human Service Department has had to place children out of state for care and treatment. In addition to Jefferson County, many other counties have expressed the need for this type of facility to help children in their communities. Upon Jefferson County and the Greater Watertown Health Foundation identifying a need for this type of facility, staff began to engage in partnerships with the State Department of Health Service and Wisconsin Community Services, which have experience in running similar types of facilities. The State Department of Health Services awarded 2 grants for this facility. One grant was a Consolidated Appropriation Act granted in the amount of $800,000, which will be applied towards startup and staffing costs. The other grant was a program revenue grant in the amount of $578,737, which is intended to be used for architectural, construction, and remodeling costs, as well as payment of costs for reserving beds to ensure they are available for future admission. In addition, Jefferson County expects to be awarded a Youth Crisis Service Facility Program revenue grant in the amount of $498,000 per year and a renewal of two more years, which will be applied towards operational costs. Finally, Jefferson County will establish a daily rate for other counties to utilize this facility. Jefferson County expects this facility to help save money by providing a better cost-effective solution for its children in crisis while also saving costs for partners in law enforcement. Admission to this facility be voluntary for the purpose of providing short-term residential care for youth ages 10 to 17. Specifically, this facility is intended to address the treatment needs of children who are experiencing a mental health crisis over a 3 to 5 day period, which may be extended if needed. The ultimate goal is to stabilize and treat the patient to avoid admissions to more restrictive inpatient settings while remaining close to family and other support systems. Various care options will be provided to include treatment planning, therapeutic interventions, risk assessment, and safety planning, discharge planning and continuing of care, and medication administration. Jefferson County will apply for and hold the required license for operation of this facility and will also control admissions. Wisconsin Community Services will be responsible for general operations and providing services on a day-to-day basis. This resolution will authorize the following. 1, enter into a lease with the Greater Town Water Health Foundation for use of the property. 2, entering the professional services contract with Wisconsin Community Services for managing and running the facility as well as determine redesign needs of the building required for licensing. 3, authorizing the establishment of daily rate for admissions and guidelines for entering into contracts with other counties, subject to review by the Human Service Board. 4, authorizing Jefferson County to serve as a fiscal agent of funds being allocated to segregated business units. 5, applying for appropriate licenses through the state. And 6, amending the 2023 budget to accept the grants referenced above. The Human Service Board met on December 13, 2022, and Finance Committee on February 1, 2023, reviewed the conceptual framework of the Youth Crisis Facility and unanimously endorsed it. The full county board was provided an overview of the project on February 14, 2023. I need to make one correction. This very last sentence about the Finance Committee voting again on March 8th did not take place. We voted on February 1st of 2023. So that very last sentence should be omitted. Fiscal note. The Consolidated Appropriation Act funding of $800,000 is available to be used March 15, 2022 to March 14, 2023. Because of an extension expected to be granted by DHS, the funding will be able to be used until February 29, 2024. The program revenue funding of $538,737 is available to use by June 30th, 2023. The additional program revenue funding of $498,000, if awarded, is available to be used July 1, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. Jefferson County will receive reimbursement for costs incurred during that time. Please see the attached budget adjustment or amendment request form for the proposed adjustment to the 2023 budget. Unspent grant funds would be included in the 2024 budget. As a budget amendment, this resolution requires 20 out of 30 affirmative votes from the total membership of the county board for passage. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Jones. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Zarling. Discussion, questions? Mr. Brogler.
2 questions regarding the $800,000 Consolidated Appropriation Act. How much of that goes towards startup and what goes through staffing? And then once the money's run out, what provisions have been made for continuing those staffing costs?
Brett, you want to address that? Did you hear the question? Or Ben?
I'll start and I'll have Brent add on too as we're going. So $800,000, a good chunk of that is for the startup cost and things related to the renovation of the project and for some of the bed space. The one thing specifically we've been focused on is then that daily rate or that working with other counties related to their costs. So as part of our, as we presented last month, the daily rate will look at the overhead in terms of the soft cost to provide the cost for that treatment with the WCS, but it's also going to look at the lease rate and we'll develop what's called a daily rate to pay. That's not dissimilar to what we do with Waukesha County as an example. They currently have a mental health hospital that we do send individuals to, and they have a contracted daily rate for providing those services. What we'll end up doing is doing that in return is developing a daily rate that we will charge ourselves because we're currently paying elsewhere already, or other counties like such as Dodge County, if they have a child who's in that facility, they'll be charged that daily rate. In addition, what we are exploring also is what's called contracted beds, and that's basically reserving a bed in case it's needed for that county. We currently, as an example, do that in Rock County for a youth shelter program, where we ensure that we have that a place to put somebody if it's a need. Now, there's admissions that have to go with it, and one thing that we've been clear on this is that our department will handle admissions to this facility to ensure they're a right fit, but also how does they kind of control it going forward. So, Brent, please add as needed.
Yes, you covered it all. The long-term sustainability will be built into the daily rates. We've had a number of counties reach out to us and are very excited to start to contract us for that year-round bed reservation fee.
I do think this is an area that we got to continue our conversation with our legislators on too, because this goes back to other funding sources too.
Mr. Backlund had his hand up first, and I'll get to you, Mr. Morris. Mr. Backlund.
Yeah, on the second paragraph, it says the county expects to be awarded, it talks about that $498,000. Do we have a plan if we don't get that? I mean, because the second one, under the fiscal note, it says if awarded, and then it says expects to be awarded, so I just want a little bit of clarification on that. Where we're at with that process?
Yeah, so we did receive a letter that we are going to be awarded the first year of that grant. We have not received word on what that amount is going to be yet, but we are going to receive year 1. Year 2 and year 3 have never been guaranteed, but the idea is from DHS is that is a possibility for year 2 and year 3.
Mr. Morris.
I guess I have one question and one concern. The question is, what number of beds? Like, can you make an estimate yet? Like, we're gonna have. You're talking about rooms that they're paying for this daily rate. So, what's the total number of? What's the head count?
So initially when we presented this last month, our anticipation was to look at 12 beds. Brent and team have been looking quite a bit. With the state, there's a licensing process, and typically the magic threshold is up to 8 before you have to look at other licensing. Based on conversations, this will be at this point in time an 8-bed facility.
Okay, well that answers my concern then as well. Thank you.
Mr. Gross.
Yeah, my question is, is the government, how they went after the tobacco industry and then they went after the opiate industry? Are you going after the social media industry to help fund this in time? Because that's probably 90% of your patients that you're going to be getting for that.
I don't know if there's an answer to that. Any other questions? Questions?
So, no answer?
I don't know if there's an answer to anybody.
I'm not aware of any movement or guidance by this board for us to move forward in that direction at this point in time.
Any other questions? Discussion? This is a budget amendment, so it takes a 2/3.
Supervisor Jones,
Yes.
Supervisor Richardson,
Yes.
we have 29 yes, 0 no, 1 absent.
Thank you. Takes us to, the resolution passes, takes us to item 11, Parks Committee, ordinance repealing and recreating Section 8.09 of Jefferson County Parks Ordinance regulating electric vehicles and Jefferson County bike paths. Mr. Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have ordinance number 2022-21,
Yes.
I believe. The current Jefferson County Parks Ordinance does not address the use of electric bicycle, e-bikes, and other electric mobility devices or vehicles on county bike paths. The Parks Department staff recently received multiple requests to allow e-bikes and other electric mobility devices on county bike paths. The Jefferson County Parks Department supports the use of e-bikes and other mobility devices on county bike paths, as noted below. If properly regulated by county ordinance, the The use of these vehicles will not change the intended use of the county bike paths. The amendment to the Jefferson County Parks Ordinance will allow use of e-vehicles on designated bike paths in Jefferson County at a speed limit not to exceed 15 miles per hour. The Parks Committee considered repealing and recreating Section 8.09 of the Parks Ordinance at its meeting on March 2, 2023, and recommended forwarding to the County Board for approval. You have the details there in front of you. Now therefore be it ordained that the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors hereby repeals and recreates the Jefferson County Parks Ordinance Section 8.09, non-motorized vehicles as described herein, to provide further clarification and regulation for a wider array of uses of Jefferson County bike paths and park trails. Be it further ordained that this ordinance shall become effective upon publication as provided by law. Fiscal note, there is no fiscal impact to this amendment to the Jefferson County Parks Ordinance. Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of this ordinance.
Moved by Mr. Christensen, second by Mr. Johns. Discussion, questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Mr.
Is
Gross.
someone going to, what's the cost of monitoring this? Because, okay, no cost because, in Waukesha County, this has kind of become a big issue already between the two, between the different bikers and the e-bikers. Just
Mr. Christensen, or care to address that question? Or Kevin?
We do have Kevin here. I think he's
Our
be the best.
Our Parks Director, Kevin Weissman.
Clarification. So from Waukesha County, Waukesha County Limited, there's 3 different classes of electric bicycles, and Waukesha County only allows, sorry, am I too close? No, I don't know
Radioactive.
They only allow the Class 1 bikes on their trails, whereas a lot of other municipalities in the area do not have that restriction as of yet. And for us, we do not have an issue. We've not been getting a lot of complaints, but wanted to provide some sideboards so we can allow our users the understanding of what is allowed and what isn't allowed, what is an electric motorcycle, what is an electric bicycle, and all of this is coming from state statute, state parks. Our trails cross county lines from Dodge County to Jefferson County to Rock County. We consulted with all the different municipalities along the way and kind of came up with what we felt like at this time was the best management practice. If we feel like there are issues and or continue to have a lot of complaints, it was something that we'd bring back in front of our Parks Committee to evaluate and maybe restrict further if we felt like that was necessary for safety.
Mr. Backlund.
Just got one quick question. That 15 miles per hour, is that the rating of the e-bike, or is that the e-bikes are just going to be capped at that? Because different e-bikes can go different speeds. Absolutely. So are you referring to they're going to be self-governed at 15, or they're rated at 15?
The self-governed at 15 miles per hour, not rated at. The Class 1, 2, and 3 have different capabilities under pedal assist.
Correct, yeah.
Go beyond that, but that was just the standard we set, and that came again from our other surrounding municipalities, state parks, state trails, those organizations.
Okay.
Kind of set that as a standard. Some of the other communities that we looked at that did studies had a similar speed limit standard that they set for these devices.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weissman. Any other questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution passes, or the ordinance passes. Takes us to item B, resolution authorizing recreational trail grant application and acceptance. Mr. Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have resolution number 2022-77. The Jefferson County Parks Department is seeking grant funds to complete a recreational trail for hiking, biking, and cross-country skiing on the right-of-way owned by We Energies and known as the Interurban Trail. The proposed trail is 10.96 miles in length and is located on the former interurban rail line that connects the city of Watertown to the city of Oconomowoc. The project is located primarily in Jefferson County with 10 miles of trail and a portion in Waukesha County with 1 mile of trail. The city of Watertown and the city of Oconomowoc are the project boundaries. This resolution authorizes the Jefferson County Parks Department to seek and accept additional funding for this project through Wisconsin Department of Transportation grant programs, including the Transportation Alternatives Program and other bipartisan infrastructure law grant programs. The Jefferson County Parks Committee considered this resolution at its meeting on March 2, 2023, and recommended forwarding to the County Board for approval. Fiscal note. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation and the Transportation Alternatives Program grant funds 80% of the cost of construction, estimated at $1,609,692.95. The county is responsible for 20% of the cost of construction, estimated at $321,938.59. Thereafter, Jefferson County would be responsible for maintenance, which is estimated at $600 to $900 per mile per year over the approximately 10 miles of trail that would be added. The county will continue to promote adopted trail relationships to lessen the cost of maintenance. Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Christensen, seconded by Mr. Zarling. Questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Item passes. Planning and Zoning Committee, zoning report and ordinance. Mr. Jekyll.
Report to the honor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Report to the honorable members of the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors. Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Committee, having considered petitions to amend the official map of Jefferson County, filed for public hearing held on February 23 as required by law pursuant to Wisconsin statutes. Notice thereof having been given and being duly abided by the wishes of the town boards and persons in the areas affected, hereby make the following recommendations. Approval of petition as listed, dated this 27th day of February 20. That's kind of a misprint. 2023. Blaine Paulson, Secretary. Move on to ordinance number 2022-23, 22, amending the official zoning map of Jefferson County. Whereas Jefferson County Board of Supervisors heretofore been petitioned to amend the official zoning map of Jefferson County, and whereas petition as listed was referred and given due consideration by Board of Supervisors in open session, now therefore be it ordained Jefferson County Board of Supervisors does here amend the official zoning map of Jefferson County as follows. Move to approve the ordinance number 2022-22.
Second by Mr. Paulson. Mr. Kennard. Duly noted. Questions? Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the ordinance passes. Takes us to our county administrator. Proclamation National 911 Telecommuter Week, April 19th through 23rd, 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Proclamation 2022.
3.
National 911 Telecommuter Week, April 9th through the 15th of 2023. Whereas 911 is nationally recognized as the number to call in an emergency to receive immediate help from police, fire, emergency medical services, or other appropriate emergency response entities. And whereas the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office 911 communication operators are the first line of communication and the most critical point of contact Jefferson County residents and visitors have with emergency services. And whereas 911 communication operators are responsible for the safety of our police officers, firefighters, and EMS, who are dependent upon the quality and accuracy of the information obtained from the individuals who contact communication centers. And whereas Jefferson County's Sheriff's Office 911 communication operators serve as the most important link of service between our police, firefighters, and EMS by monitoring their activities by radio and computer, providing them information ensuring their safety, and whereas Jefferson County Sheriff's Office 911 communication operators have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients through their commitment and dedication to public safety. And whereas Jefferson County Sheriff's Office 911 communication operators have shown and exhibited compassion, understanding, professionalism, and the ability to work under extreme pressure during the performance of their duties. And now, therefore, the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors of Jefferson County do hereby proclaim April 9th through the 15th, 2023 as National Public Safety Telecommuters Week. We call upon all the governmental officials, parents, teachers, school administrators, caregivers, business leaders, nonprofit organizations, and people of the county United States to observe this month with training, events, and activities to educate and say thank you to the public and 911 and its services. I respectfully request approval of this proclamation.
Moved by Mr. Morris, a second by Mr. Backlund. Questions, discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Public comment of a general nature. Any public comment of general nature of something that's not on the agenda? Seeing none. Appointments by the county board chair. By virtue of the authority vested in me under section 59.54, parent 8, I hereby request a confirmation of the following appointments. Samantha Lamiro, hospital representative, Ford Healthcare, to the local emergency committee for an intermediate term. And Scott Johnson, state elected official. Oh, we can take them one at a time. We'll take one at a time. First one. Move to approve by Mr. Morris. Second by Mr. Paulson. Any questions? Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Appointment is made. Secondly, Scott Johnson, state of elected official, representative to the Assembly, District 33, to the local emergency planning for an indeterminate term. I'll entertain a motion. So moved by Mr. Backlund. I have a second. Second by Mr. Morris. Discussion? Questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. And what was the one? Oh, okay. Okay. And Director of Facilities Management, Mr. Ryan Hayes. You have a kind of a resume in front of here, and I think Mr. Waymeyer would like to say a few words.
Yeah, so we'll start with that. And under my authority, invested me under 59.182, parent B of state statute, I'll respectfully request his confirmation of the appointment. So you do have his bio today. I want to talk to you a little bit about Ryan and why he was selected. So from a process standpoint, so the board is aware, and Ryan is here tonight, right back there, for everyone to introduce himself to tonight. We were very lucky that we had a great response to our request for this position. Most of the county board knows this is our first time we've had a position such as this. We've had a lot of great folks working in various buildings throughout, but it's the first time we've had a department head position looking out for all the facilities to bring it forward. And so this is a position we envisioned all over 18 plus months ago as we looked at allocation of budget money going forward. So Ryan and the rest of his folks who went through multiple rounds of interviews with staff. At the final round, we had County Board Supervisor Jim Brockler served on behalf of the Building Grounds Committee as we went through that process. In addition to being interviewed those questions, they had a little homework, so they had come with a presentation. And part of it was two key questions that we really want to talk about. One was the idea of people. As we're trying to build a team, we have folks in various departments who did a lot of things here. And we want to make sure the individual hired to do this position brought that team together and continue to do the things they're doing. So I'm just going to use the example of that team. It's actually at our South Campus. When a couple of folks went out, they got to meet some of the team at the South Campus. And all of a sudden they saw a retiree out there. Well, he was taking care of one of his colleagues when he was here because he had some medical stuff going on. And so he came back on LTE duty to help out the county and help out his former colleague to move forward. We were looking for someone to help lead that team. Larry Meyer and what he did in Central Services when we had the unfortunate circumstances, he's stepped up the last several years, really, again, of what we do with the Sheriff's Department, the courthouse facilities, again, wanting to sustain that team and keep moving forward to where we're heading. The other thing is really helping us do the final assessment of where we're at with the buildings, help with the courthouse project moving forward, and making sure they can balance all those efforts. And so what we got from Ryan really pushed us in that direction that we feel he can do that role, really fit into the culture that we're trying to promote here. You'll see in his resume he has extensive background in the private and public sector. A significant part of his last 9 years was in the public sector, working for the city of Milwaukee, primarily on their police and library facilities. Kind of very similar in terms of the number of facilities that we have here in Jefferson County. And also you can see from his professional education, a BS in architectural design, and also being LEED certified, some great credentials as we look forward to the future of this position, especially as we look at how we budget and things like that for the future. So with all that being said, I respectfully request the confirmation of my appointment of Ryan as the Facilities Management Director.
So moved by Mr. Brogler, and second by Mr. Backlund. I want to quick apologize. My agenda has this under my appointment. The other one has it under Ben's appointment, so we got it kind of out of sync here. But anyway, so Mr. Hayes' appointment is on the floor. Questions? Discussions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Welcome to the team, Mr. Hayes. I see you in the back of the room.
And please say hi to him. And then my last two appointments fall under Section 59.18, Parent 2, Parent C of Wisconsin statute. I respectfully request a confirmation of the following appointments. Samantha Lemura to the Board of Health for a 3-year term ending May 12, 2026, and Dr. Donald Williams to the Board of Health for a 3-year term ending May 12, 2026. We respectfully request confirmation of these appointments as well, please.
So moved by Mr. Morris, second by Supervisor Johns. Questions? Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Takes us to announcements. Any announcements? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. This is not debatable. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.